Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we're taking a look at the Razer Blade 16, the 2024 model, available at Best Buy now, a premium gaming laptop that has all the bells and whistles. It's not an exaggeration to call the Razer Blade 16 a beast, because it is. I mean, the version that came out last year was as well. I didn't get to test that one, so I can't make a comparison between the nuances and unique differences between the 2023 model and the 2024 model that we have here. But what I can tell you is that this is first and foremost a gaming laptop. Of course, no surprise. I mean, it's a Razer Blade laptop, but I tested it with the idea that you could use it for more than just gaming, that it is in effect a content creator's laptop, or if you're a creative type, video editor, photo editor, that the power inside a device like this would be useful too. But my conclusion ultimately is going to lead right back to gaming. The reason for that is because the specs really indicate that. You have Intel's latest 14th gen Raptor Lake refresh chipset, which is great. My model here, my review unit, the one that Razer loaned me, is the base model. So it does have the 14th gen chipset, so you get the CPU, but I have in here the RTX, the NVIDIA RTX 4070. So you can get the 4080 or 4090, which of course is much stronger GPUs. But here you get the base. So 4070 is the base. It was 4060 with the 2023 model. It is now 4070 for the 2024. More than capable, a very strong GPU, but of course, if you are a hardcore gamer and you want the ultimate, you want to play games with the highest settings possible, you won't get that necessarily with this, depending on the game. For a lot of games you can, but not for every game. Before I get into any of that, I do want to speak a little bit to the design. This is very much a premium laptop. It is an expensive laptop, and it should be premium, and it is. The metal body is really, really nice. It's a sturdy build, no question about that. Excellent speakers. A lot of the things that you would want in a laptop. I mean, the touchpad is just massive too, which I really, really liked. Keyboard's pretty nice too. The whole body is excellent in terms of the way it's constructed. I didn't like how much of a fingerprint magnet the whole thing was. This is the kind of laptop you have to wipe down constantly. So if you're a stickler for appearance, maybe the black model won't be for you. You might want the Mercury one instead. Nevertheless, this one, I can't speak to the other variant, but in this case, fingerprints are a very common sight on this, outside, inside, so it needs to be cleaned fairly often, especially if you want it to stay that way. In terms of ports, you have a lot to work with, so HDMI 2.1, which is great. Of course, you can use this with a monitor, a TV if you like, but if you also just want to connect peripherals, you can certainly do that very easily as well. So you've got a Thunderbolt 4 port, you've got another USB-C port in there as well. You have 3 USB-A ports, a headphone jack, of course. There's also the SD card slot, which is why also I feel like this is something that goes beyond just gaming, because obviously you've got the card slot there too. So ports are great. You have a lot to work with as far as that goes. RGB lighting in the keyboard, which is always nice. It's a beautiful machine to play with, when you have ambient lighting or it's dark, for sure. And of course, I have to mention the screen. So I left the screen to the end here in terms of just describing the device, because it is an OLED panel. So my review unit had an OLED panel. There is also a mini LED variant. I can't speak to that. I only saw it briefly at CES in Las Vegas. But this is the OLED panel, which is just a gorgeous screen. It really is. Everything just pops on the screen. Obviously, the brightness is not going to be as high as it would be with a mini LED, but the contrast will be better here. So again, if you're okay with that trade-off where you may not get as bright as you normally would with a mini LED, but you get the kind of contrast and color that OLED can deliver, you certainly will not be disappointed with the way it looks in this machine. For performance, I'll slice it into 2 pieces here, because generally for performance, anything that you do here, so I use this a lot with Lightroom and Photoshop, and it renders photos in no time. I mean, even if you're working with a batch, you're working with a batch of images, you want to auto align images, blend images, things like that, super resolution. All that stuff works really, really quickly because of the components inside. So as a workhorse in that regard, the device is capable of doing just about everything. It does get hot though. And sometimes the fan, I find this will happen more if you are running a number of apps at the same time. So even if you're using Lightroom and Photoshop and you're really getting into it, and then on top of that, you got a few other apps open at the same time, it will start to run hot, and too hot actually to have on your lap. And also that the fans will start to really sort of sound off. I'll get to the gaming part because that's where it really gets interesting. But generally speaking, I had no real issue getting anything done with this laptop. So if I wanted to get projects done, and I wanted to get them done in a way that was just a little bit faster, that the workflow was just a little quicker because of whatever rendering was involved, I didn't have to worry about that here. It handled everything with a plum. So more than happy with that. The only thing I found I took issue with is that it's just, the machine is naturally big. It's bigger, it's heavier, it's under 6 pounds, just under 6 pounds. And it's thick, the charger is big, so it's not as portable as taking around, I mean, I get it's a 16-inch laptop, but it's just not as portable as, say, a 14-inch laptop where you could effectively do the same thing, maybe not as fast, depending on the GPU, but you would have a footprint that's a lot easier to carry with you. The reason why I say that is because the gaming part is, it's natural. It's Razer. Like, look, we have the Razer Synapse software here, which is all about setting things up in the way that you like the laptop to be, largely with gaming in mind. So even Razer's own software naturally makes that clear who this is for. There's a lot of granularity here, so there's a lot of ways that you can customize and personalize the whole experience, like what you want the keys to do, things like that. Anything about like sensitivity, all that stuff is in here. So you can definitely play around with the features that you like and what you want them to do. No problem there. Now, as far as the games go, it really depends. Most games, I tried this with a number of games, so games that I already owned, or cloud gaming, or games that I downloaded from services like Xbox Game Pass, EA Play, things like that. It ran everything really, really well. With a really, really good internet connection, Game Pass is just a beauty to play on this device. I had no issue at all playing Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Halo Infinite, Just Cause 4. I tried a bunch of games, and they really ran really well from a cloud connection. But when I played them offline and I could ramp up the graphics and just the performance side of things, I for the most part didn't really run into issues there. However, there are some roadblocks, there are some limitations that I'll point out. You're not going to be able to play Cyberpunk 2077 at full, just at the full gamut, basically, like just ramping everything up. That's not going to work on here, especially with the 4070 GPU. You might have more luck with the 4090, I don't know. But there will be points with certain games that are very demanding graphically where you will start to notice that this just can't get you there. And it might be audibly noticeable simply because of how loud the fans get. This is a loud laptop. I can't exaggerate that. I'm not exaggerating that. It is the fans just go crazy. And I understand that there's the amount of heat this thing generates, the fans have to do that. But it gets very hot, too hot in my opinion to be on your lap while you're gaming. You'll have to have something to put it on, some kind of a stand or mount, something like that. And for the fans, well, again, if you're expecting to play quietly, it won't be that quiet if people are nearby, because they're going to hear these fans blaring like crazy. All told, the Razer Blade 16 is a commitment. A big commitment, not just financially because you got to pay all that money up front to get it, but it's also a big commitment because you have to buy into the configuration that you want. There's not really any room for changing that after the fact. So whether it's the RAM, like mine, for example, has 16 gigs of RAM, right? You can get much more than that depending on the configuration. It had 1 terabyte of storage. Okay, you can even get 2 if you want that. And then, of course, I already mentioned the CPU and the GPU. So there are a number of different configuration options that radically change what the cost will be. That being said, it's a machine that, again, it requires that you are a gamer and a serious gamer. This is not for casual gamers. Yes, it's beautiful to look at. The games are great, but for what it costs, obviously you got to be extremely serious about what it is you're trying to do with this machine. And the bonus is that if you are in a creative pursuit of some kind, or you want to try this as some kind of a hybrid machine, particularly at home rather than taking it everywhere, I don't think you'll be disappointed. There's a lot that this thing can do, and it can do it well and consistently well. So it's a very capable device, but it has its limitations despite the really good configurations that it comes with, at least as the base model is concerned. I can't speak to every configuration, mind you, but the base one is pretty good, but not the ultimate, especially if you're looking, especially for the gaming side. But even if you're a video editor and you want something that's really, really robust, I'm not sure this is the one. And that's my review of the Razer Blade 16, the 2024 model, available at Best Buy now, and you can actually click right below to see more about it. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.